care center, and then we will submit our documents and we will request for the connection. Okay, that is the process. So what will happen after giving a documentations? So up to when you have a connection and when you have a opportunity to make a call, in between these two there are n number of steps. Okay, but without knowing us, within a 1 hour or 24 hours we will get a connection, right? So what will happen in between these two steps? So whenever you have given a document to the customer, okay, the customer care will come for your document verification. The first is the document verification, and then they will come for the address verification. Okay, once they get the address verification, then they will come for your home and they will install a land mobile. If suppose it is a land connection, then they will give a connectivity like a wire connectivity and the setup of box setup, everything. So once it is done, then they will map to your corresponding tower. Okay, let us take, if it is a BSNL, then nearby BSNL tower. So which is the nearest point, they will map to that network point, and that is a network mapping. Once network mapping is done, then they will assign one plan. Right, suppose you want to take a 500 mobile plan or a family plan. So based on your interest, they will assign one package. Right, once they assign the package, then based on that package name, okay, they will record the other packages. Like suppose you want to get a 500 mbps per second, or you want to get 1 GB per month per day. So these kind of data plans they will assign. After that, you can utilize like incoming and outgoing calls. Even in incoming and outgoing calls, there are different type of outgoing calls, like international and national and local. Okay, these are different type of networks. Okay, packages. So after that, what will happen, you will get a bill. Okay, the bill will generate every month, every 30 days or 25 days. Okay, and then finally you will make a payment to the respected company. Okay, so once you pay the bill, then what if suppose you will not pay the bill, then what will happen, they will go for the disconnection. Okay, these are the different type of steps. How these will happen, how automatically happening all these steps without any manual intervention, right? How? So let us take here. So these are the different type of systems. So as I explained right now, consider this box ERP. This ERP, that is a one system where the customer will gather the documents. Once he got the documents, then the data needs to share to the customer care. So there is a one more department, that is a customer care department, where they can take care about your document verifications and your home verifications, whatever it may be. And after that, there is another source that is called package. So this is the different department where they can assign you what package do you want. Okay, so once the package is assigned, then there is another department where your the network mapping will be done. Okay, so once they map the network, then again there is a one more department where you can pay the bill. Like if suppose you want to pay your mobile bill, then what you will do, either you can go for the internet banking, or you will go for the Android, or you will go for the any other devices. Okay, so if you want to pay your bill from Windows, then you need that software, you need your data in that server. That is a one more server. So like you can consider it as another department. So there are n number of departments. Okay, but you need to send a data across all these departments. Let us take, my name is Kishore. The same name should be available in all systems, right? So who will transfer all this data? So previously there is a languages called, we have a different type of languages like C, C++, Java, and all these things. So using these languages, you can integrate or you can communicate only two systems. Okay, two or more systems. So suppose if it is in a two systems, like a one-to-one, suppose I want to transfer a data from one source to another source, whether it is a database or whether it is a HTTP, different matter. I want to send data from one system to another system. Then what I need to do, I will get to know like what is the address of the system and what is the address of the system and how I need to send a data. Okay, suppose let us take, I have written some data, some coding in a Java. Using a Java, I developed this system. Okay, and this is also Java based system, and I have designed it. So easily they both are communicate very easily because both are in a Java language. So this system will understand this system because both are in a sync. Let us take this is in a Java. Okay, ERP has been developed by the Java, but the other system will be implemented by using a .NET. Just I'm giving a simple example. Okay, so another system will be implemented by another language. So if suppose they want to communicate both each other, then how they will communicate? They cannot communicate because those are the different type of languages. They cannot understand each other. So what they need to do, they need to convert. Suppose let us take, I want to send a ERP data to the DWH, then I need to convert this Java coding language into a .NET, then only it can understood. Okay, so in order to convert that type of messages, then it is a huge code. It required a huge code. Okay, if suppose you want to write such a things, then you need to develop the drivers which can understood the .NET can understand by the Java. Okay, and okay, if it is only one-to-one system, let it be, I can do it because it's a very simple, I mean it's a very less cost and I can go for the coding. But still I want to send the same data to other system. Let us take the CRM is a database like a Oracle database. So if I want to send this a message from the Java system to Oracle, then again it needs another driver, right? The same way, if suppose ERP, from the ERP I want to send it to some other source which is a HTTP or FTP, I mean different type of language or different language like a Python, these kind of things, then how can I write? Again I need to write another driver. Okay, likewise if you take the telecom system, whatever the example which I explained, there are n number of departments, like around more than 50 departments are available. Like one department is for securities, providing security, one department will be monitoring your call data, so like how many minutes you are talking and with whom you are talking, they will record all these data. And there is one more like cyber security. Okay, there is one more thing like data analysis, data analytics, like what kind of package people are using and which month they are using, utilizing a mobile, these kind of data storage. And different type of payment methods like phone pay, Google Pay, and Paytm or online pay. So these are different type of departments. Likewise there are n number of departments. So if I want to communicate with all these departments, writing a coding in a language is very difficult. Okay, so that is the reason they have implemented one software that is called a enterprise service bus, that is a middleware. Okay, so this yellow box is a middleware. What this middleware is doing, so if suppose I want to interact, the CRM want to interact with the ERP, then I don't want to write in CRM, you don't want to write any coding. You can send a message to ESB saying that I want to interact with the ERP. Then what ESB will do, inside the ESB there is already a inbuilt packages. Okay, so this ESB can understood CRM language as well as it can understood the ERP language. So when it is sending data from CRP to ERP, okay, then it will automatically convert inside and it will send it to the ERP. So there is no miscommunication between the CRP and ERP. Okay, the same way the CRM will interact with any source which are which were connected to this ESB tool. Okay, that is a ESB, or sometimes we call it as a middleware, sometimes we call it as a ESB. Okay, sometimes we call it as a bus. Fine. So as of now, do you have any doubts? What is the ESB? Okay, now, so this is a ESB. So actually this is a very old one. I mean, not old nothing but decades back they have implemented this ESB. Now the thing is coming to the API led connectivity, like APIs. So right now what we are doing right now, we are in a pandemic, right? COVID pandemic. So many companies are working on this COVID pandemic, so different ways. So let us take a medical companies or biotechnology bio companies. What they are doing, they are working on the vaccination, and some people are working on the data collection, like how many people are affected, how many are recovered. Okay, what are the different type of states, which states impacted more. So these kind of analysis, data analysis is going on in the other way. Okay, some people are investing on money on the vaccination, and they are discovering vaccination, and people are analyzing the this virus impact, okay, and even future plans also. So how different countries are working on different systems, different locations, but still in one source. If you go to the Google and you can click on button, so it will give all the informations, how it is giving the information because of this ESB. Okay, there are each and every system or every company is implementing a APIs. Okay, API nothing but a kind of software, is a little kind of software which we are going to develop. So everyone, whoever can implement this API, anyone can access that API. Okay, so now the current world is moving towards the API approach, application programming interface. Okay, so once you implement the APIs, so using this middleware, you can interact with any API within a second. In a fraction of a second, you can transfer a huge amount of data. Okay, that is a API. So don't get confused right now. When we are going through the examples, then easily you will get to know like what is the API and what is the difference between the API and ESB. Okay, so now coming to the next part. Okay, so now you understood what is a middleware, right? Now what are the different type of softwares which are available in a middleware? Okay, so TIBCO is a one a good middleware software, and second is a MuleSoft and Oracle Fusion, IBM Web Methods. There are n number of softwares are available in the market right now. But why MuleSoft? Okay, so previously TIBCO is on top in all these middleware technologies, but right now the MuleSoft crossed that TIBCO because of some TIBCO, they company wise they have some disputes and they have some trust, they lost some trust on the companies. So because of that, the MuleSoft come into the picture. See, and also MuleSoft has been brought by the Salesforce company. You know, like a Salesforce is a front end, like where we can develop the screens and everything. So Salesforce has brought this MuleSoft as a backend. Okay, so again they got the major market from the US and UK. That is a one more reason why people are moving towards the MuleSoft. Okay, and also it is a very easy language, very easy technology, because you don't require any coding. Without any knowledge on coding, you can learn the MuleSoft. Okay, that simple, where you can create the APIs in a MuleSoft, even very less code. I can say like a minute of less code. Even that is not a coding. That those are the expressions which we will write in a MuleSoft. Other than that, you will not write any coding here. Automatically, it will generate the code. Okay, it is look like this. So I will quickly go through this document, and then I will go for an example. Okay, you don't require all these things. You will get to know later. Okay, I will show you. So what is MuleSoft here? So did anyone know like database, what is a database and what is HTTP, what is FTP, what are different type of transport protocols? Do you know? Okay, okay. So this is a tool, MuleSoft tool, where we call it as a Anypoint Studio, where we will generate the flows. I will just go through the flows like how it would be look like. So let us take this is a project. Okay, so here what we are doing, I have some data in a database. I want to transfer into a file. Okay, so whatever there inside the database, I want to put it into a file. So that is my target. So what I will do, I will connect with the database, and then I will transfer into a whatever the format I want to store into a database in a file. Then I transform, and then I will insert into a file. Before inserting into a file, I need to check whether that file is already exist or not. Okay, so here I will list it all the files. If the file is already exist, then I don't want to write, I want to write something, some other data. If suppose the file is not available, then I can write everything into this file. This is a one project. Okay, same way I will show another project. So here see, I'm getting some information. Okay, like see in amazon.com, let us take a amazon.com. So what will happen when you click on amazon.com? So when you go through the website amazon.com, so you will get like a different type of tabs, right? So like menwear, different based on the categories. Do you have a n number of categories? Let us take. I want to go for the so it is not loading. So I want to check in electronics. Okay, in electronics module again you have different type of categories, like you laptop categories, TV categories, and mobile categories. Okay, whenever I click on a mobile category, I will get all the mobile data, right? Where we are getting the data. So when we click, we are getting data. From where we are getting the data? So the data will be stored in a different, there are different type of data storages, like a file and database and some servers, right? So we need to get the data whenever we required. We need to get the data from the database. So you need to establish a connection to the database, right? Amazon. When I click on that button, like let us take electronics, then what will happen? The call will go for the backend team, like this tool. This is a tool where we developed the API. So this is a listener. So what will happen whenever you click on submit button here, or you click on the electronic tab, automatically the request will come to this listener, and then it will go and connect with the database and gather the data, and they will send it back to the your listener. That means the data will be getting reflected in a front end. Okay, so any doubt here? So any doubts? Okay, I will briefly go through this tool. What we will do, like see here, this is a file, and if you know like Java and Eclipse tool, it look like a Eclipse tool. Okay, so see here we have a files and edit, source, refactors, and here we have a project related things, and here you can do the debugging and running and debugging, and here you will get the help button. Let us take, I want to create a new project. Okay, so what you will do, you can go to the new and then you can create a mule project. So once you create the mule project, then it will ask you project name, demo. So you can choose any version and then you can finish it. That's it. So automatically what it will do, it will create the project structure. You don't want to bother about the project structure. Automatically it will take care about all the folders, like folder structure and what are the files which are required, supporting files. Okay, all these things are automatically created by the MuleSoft. And if you observe here, there is a pom.xml, nothing but a Maven based technology. I will let you know like what is a Maven later. So this is a Maven based project. Automatically it will create. You don't want to bother about the structure. Okay, now, so this is the place. So let me close all the windows which are available here. So here, this is a demo.xml. So this is an empty designer. This we call it as a designer. This is a project explorer, and this is a API palettes. Okay, mule palette window, and this is the console, and you have a debugging also here. So this is a where we are going to write a coding. So how you write a code? Let us take, when I hit the server. So let us take a localhost. If I hit this localhost 8081, I want to get a hello response here. Okay, that is my requirement. How you will get that? Okay, so here these are the different type of palettes, as I said. Like, so here I have a HTTP. So basically whatever you are giving a request from the Chrome or Internet Explorer from the website, so that we call it as a HTTP request. Okay, that is a HTTP request. So there is a call listener. So it will listen like from wherever the address you have configured on the listen. If you get any request from the address, then it will act on it. Okay, So I just want to drag that listener to here. Okay, it will create a project. So this is a listener. So and then after that, so there is a one more component called a set payload. So here I will write a message like hello world. Hello. Okay, this is the message I want to return to this response. So now I need to configure the address, right? So where, I mean, from where I want to listen. So for that you need to click on this. So once you click on this icon, automatically it will open like this. In this is a configuration window where you need to configure your address and all. So here if you click this plus button, then this is the place where you can declare your address. Let us take, I want to get from the HTTP only. Okay, otherwise here if you see the local host, I want to get the data from the local host. If someone hit this local host 8081, then it will act on it. Okay, it will get the request. I will make it as a okay. Okay, and I will give some path like a hello. Okay, so this is my project. Okay, my project is ready. And what is my address? So my address, if I click on this address like localhost 8081, if I hit this, then I need to get a hello. So first of all, I need to debug or run my project. This I haven't run this project. Let me save this, save all, and you can right click, you will give the run project demo or debug project demo. There is a one more way, like here you can see the run here, run option. If you click on this run option, you will get the run or debug. In the same way, if you click on this project explorer, like this is a project header folder. So if you click on this, so here also you will get the debug and run mode. Okay, there are different ways you can run your project. Once you start the running, then it will try to deploy your application. Okay, in Java, if suppose you want like not in Spring, in another other than before Spring, if you want to run this kind of HTTP projects, you need to install another software. Either it's a Tomcat server or JBoss, some server should be there to deploy your application. But in MuleSoft, inbuilt, they provided a software. This is a Mule server software. Okay, this is a server where we are going to deploy our application. This is called inbuilt server. Okay, whatever we are doing here, it is deploying right now. Where it is deploying under this Mule server. Now it is deployed. Okay, if I click this HTTP localhost HTTP 8081, then I'm supposed to get the response. I'm getting a response, but what it is saying, there is no listener. Means what is your URL is a hello. So this is your, let me show you configuration once again. So this is your host, this is your port, and this is your path. Let me redeploy. I forgot the slash. So this is how it is deploying. Again, it is redeploying. So just if you do any changes here and if you save it, automatically it will redeploy your application. Okay. So very simple. So now it is deployed. Let me try once again. Sorry, slash hello. So here you got the response. Not bad. So here you got the hello response. Okay, so you are getting some response here. If it is in a JSON format, then directly you can see the response here itself. Okay, let me change it to a JSON response. Hmm. So here, this is a window like where you can edit it. I will tell you later this. So this is how I am interacting even in real time also. Whenever you hit this, even whatever that, whether it is a WhatsApp or Google or anything, so it is loading some information here, nothing but in a backend there is some system where it is listening and giving a data back to you. Okay, this is called a HTTP and this is a API. Okay, so as I said, like there are different type of APIs which we are working as a pandemic, right? So if let us take, I'm designing one API. Okay, saying that I will gather some data which related to my village, like how many people are impacted, how many are recovered. These kind of data I have in my with my hand. Then I can create one API and I will give this URL to the public, like localhost, whatever that I'm giving here. This localhost, I will the data, the URL I will give to the public so that they will get my data wherever they have. If they hit this website, then I will give some information so they can utilize that information. Okay, likewise you can create n number of APIs here. So do we have any coding here? No, we don't have any coding. So what will happen? So when you created this flow, automatically it created a coding here. So this is a backend code. This is the code which is created by the MuleSoft itself. Okay, it is in the XML format. Okay, so if suppose you are good in XML, okay, you are good in a XML, or you want to write a code in XML, then you can write a code here also. Let us take, I'm good in here, so I'm going to write a code in this configuration XML window. So let us take, I'm going to copy paste. So let me paste it here, and I will change this flow name as a demo flow 2. Okay, and go and check in message flow, automatically it will generate another flow here. So this is another flow. Okay, vice versa, whatever you are doing here under the message flow, that will reflect under this configuration XML. So whatever you will do in the configuration XML, that again it will reflect in a message flow window. Okay, so basically this is a XML based technology. So whatever you are going to write or whatever you are going to implement, that will convert into a XML file. That XML file you can deploy in your server. Okay, so this is a how you can do the debugging and all these things. This is a simple project in a MuleSoft. The same way, suppose this is a static data which I am getting here right now, hello. Instead of that, I want to interact with a database, right? As I said, like if suppose I want to interact with the database, what we require, we need a driver, right? So those drivers or components are already available in a MuleSoft. So here I will go for the add modules. If I click on this add module, I will get different type of modules here. This is a database. Suppose I want to interact with the database, I will need to this database driver. I will drag it here. So automatically I will get all the database related things. Okay. If suppose I want to choose the select query, then I can use this select. I don't want to write any coding here. I will just drag it and I will write a select query here. Okay, what you need to do, you need to do the configuration, like where is the database, what is the address of your database, okay, and what is our table name. So these are the configuration which you need to done here. So once you've done, then directly you will get data from the database. If suppose you want to get the data from the FTP, like from server, okay, there are different type of servers, right? So I want to get a server from the Linux or Unix, then what you will do, you can use as FTP or SFTP. Okay, so any doubts? So any doubts, you can interact so that you will get to know like what exactly you want to know and why is MuleSoft, okay, how it is easy. So even I will also understood like whether you are able to understood or not. Yeah. So no doubts, Raju.
Yeah, no, I don't. Okay, I understand.
Okay. So what about Raghu? So this is a very simple tool or technology where you can learn many things. Now see here. So in a MuleSoft, I will give a simple difference between other middleware technologies and the MuleSoft. So if you see here, there are n number of modules. Even you can add more modules from the Exchange button. This is a like Exchange, like a storage for the MuleSoft where you can get the number of modules. If suppose you want to interact with a Twitter, so again you need a Twitter module. Okay, modulation nothing but it will convert from one form to another form. Here what is database doing? So whatever the text message or JSON message which we are getting, that will convert into a SQL, and it will give in a JSON format. That is a driver what it is doing here. Same way, if suppose I want to interact with Facebook, okay, again I don't want to write any separate library file for the Facebook. Okay, so inside this Exchange, they have provided a driver or like connectivity connector, so I can use that connector and I will communicate with the Facebook. Okay, same way I have a n number of modules which are provided with the MuleSoft. More than 100 modules are there in a MuleSoft. If suppose if in the TIBCO, if I want to interact with the JMS, then again I need to purchase separately for this JMS. I need to pay the amount for the JMS. Okay, same way for if suppose I want to interact with the NetSuite, again I need to purchase that drivers. But here it is not like that. In MuleSoft, they will provide all the drivers inbuilt. Whenever you want, you can use that, like with JMS. Okay, if suppose even there are different type of components where you can write a coding also. Let us take, you want to write some code in a Java, you face that there is some difficult situation or there is some complicated coding you want to write, that is not feasible in your MuleSoft. Then what you will do? So suppose you are expert in a Java, then you can use a Java component. You can drag this Java component and then you can write a coding. Or if suppose there is already you have a Java class and you don't want to write the code, so whatever the code which you have in a Java, that Java code you can put under this src main Java, and then using this Java component you can directly call this Java class. The same way, suppose you want to write a code in a Python. Okay, again you have a Python module here, or some scripting languages. So all the all the modules or connectors are available in a MuleSoft where you can easily configure that. You don't want to write any coding. Okay, these are the different type of components or palettes which we have. And again there are different type of cores, like suppose see there are different type of subflows, folds, synchronous, asynchronous calling. So these are the different type of topics. Okay, those are available. Those are the concepts which are not belongs to MuleSoft, but it is a the concept belongs to all the technologies, whether it is a Java, whether it is a MuleSoft, whether it is a TIBCO, whatever it may be. These are concepts are same, like synchronous calling, asynchronous calling, and different type of subflows. Subflows nothing but yes, functions. So you have a class, inside the class you have a functions, right? You have modules. The same way we have here a different type of subflows. Okay, where you can utilize for the recursion. You can reduce the redundance, and then you can use for the recursion. Okay, so those all the components, whatever a language, whatever the things which you can implement using a language, everything you can do from the MuleSoft also, but without a coding. Okay, so this is about the Mule project. And if you see here the project structure, this is a src main. So inside src main you have a Mule project, Java folder and resource folder. So if you want to write any Java coding, you can put under this Java folder. If you want to add some files, like some example files or any text file or JSON files or XML files, you can put under the resources. Even sometimes you need to implement the certificates also. If suppose I want to interact with some other HTTP, okay, so let us take here, I have some website, so I want to interact with that website. Suppose see, I want to interact with this website. This is my URL. So just like Amazon.com or other languages. Okay, suppose if I hit this URL, I will get some data. Okay, this is the data I'm getting. Okay, so right now I'm directly getting this data. Suppose if I implement a this security or SSL to this website, then I cannot interact with this website because I need to install those certificates, such a things. So those kind of softwares or certificates or keys and PKs all will be stored under this SRC main resources. Okay, if suppose I want to interact with the HTTP like same way, whatever the address which I have right now in the Chrome, I want to interact with this, then what can I do? So here under the HTTP you have a request. If you drag this request, you will get the data. So drag this request here and copy that address, whatever the address you have, so directly you will get the data. Though if you want to write this simple code in a Java, at least you need to implement a 500 lines of code. Okay, so even right now in Spring Boot, again it is a very simple one compared to previous Java J2E all. So they even in Spring Boot also you have a modules, a little bit easy. Okay, comparatively MuleSoft is a very easy. So here I can configure my HTTP requester, like here I can add, so like what is the protocol you want to call, whether it is a HTTP or a HTTPS, and what is your host name, what is your port name. Okay, so you don't require this HTTP, this is your address, and this is your external path. Okay, that's it. So remaining path you need to provide here, and then that's it. So if you hit this URL, you will get the data. Okay, that's such a simple technology this. So any doubts as of now? Hello?
Hi Kishore. Hi Kishore.
Yeah,
Any dependencies in pom.xml file?
sorry,
Okay. Similarly, Spring. Any dependencies?
Raju, I didn't get you. Your voice is breaking.
Here also you can add any dependencies in pom.xml file.
Ah, yes. So here, see, basically, whatever we are dragging a component from here to here, okay, in a POM,
Yeah.
automatically it is
Okay.
adding a dependency. See here, pom.xml file. So in a pom.xml file, it automatically added the dependencies. Okay,
Okay.
so let me
Okay.
remove this database here. So this is my database, right? This is a
Yeah.
DB connector, database connector. Let me remove this. So automatically it will remove from here. So here, so where is that? So let me save this. So currently you are able to see here the database, right? Okay. So if I save this, so it lost. That means
Okay.
whenever you are adding a module, so automatically backend it will order dependencies. Either you can add a module here, or if you know the database, if you know that POM file, okay, the resource, then directly you can add that resource under these dependencies. Okay,
Okay.
automatically
Fine.
it will get reflected into these components.
Okay. Fine.
So that is about a POM. And you can do many things in a POM. Of course, you know, I mean, you already working on Java Spring, so you will get to know, you know, like what is the advantage of your Maven and how you can provide the security, how you can add
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
dependencies, how you can add the configuration and all. Okay,
Yeah.
so later we will get to know like how we can use this POM. So this is
Okay.
all about the Mule design designer. Hello.
Raghunath. Yeah, actually, I want to know what is the main role of this MuleSoft. What's that in the real
Hmm.
time? How it will work actually, and what for the main benefit for the client and for us?
See, that is what I said. Like in initially, suppose there are n number of modules you want to interact. If suppose take one example, banking sector. Okay. So in banking sector, what will happen? Suppose you want to do some transaction. Okay, you want to transfer a money from your account to a different account through the NFTP or FTP. Okay, so what will happen? You are logging into the first of all, what you are doing authentication of yourself. When you click on the HDFC Bank, it will ask your username and password. What is that meaning? So you are giving a input, like you are giving a username and password, and you are getting a response like whether you are the proper person or not. Who will certifying that? Okay, who certified that? So you are sitting in your home in front of laptop, you are giving an input, but someone is authorizing you, like whether you are authorized person or not. Who is authorizing? Some HDFC bank sector, right? Inside the HDFC there is some department like a authentication department. When you given the input, that information will goes to the that respected department, like authentication department. Then this department will send written message, like saying that whether you are authorized or not. If it is the authorized, then it will say like it is you are authorized. And after authorized, what it needs to do, you need to get access the your account. So there is the account department is different. From here, whenever you have authorized, then only the another call will goes to the account departments. Then account department, like a respected account, you are able to see that message, that whatever the data which is there inside the account, that you will access from your website. Okay, once you access, now you need to transfer to the different bank. Let us take you need to transfer from HDFC account to SBI. Then you need to interact with the SBI. Okay, whenever you want to interact with the SBI, again I need to send another call saying that I want to interact with the SBI account. Then again this SBI will needs to interact with our HDFC saying that some person is interacting with me, whether this person belongs to your bank or not. They will do that interaction here, they will get the confirmation, and then only they will give you access for you, right? So once it is access, then again it will go for the account verification. So suppose you want to send money from your account to your friend account, then again this SBI bank will check that account is already exist in their bank or not. Your friend account is already there in SBI or not, it needs to check. So all these checking, how it is happening within a fraction of seconds because of this networking. So here there is a call middleware. He is the one who will make the calls in between or among these systems. That is a middleware. Okay, clear on this point? What is a bus doing, Raghu?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, let us take in this example, same example which I have given. Suppose I want to interact with the database. Okay, so let us take, for this is your website, your Chrome. From the Chrome you want to interact with the HDFC bank account. Now whenever you give a call, like let us consider it a HTTP call. Okay, again this account department, what it will do, it will not hold your data uh, instantly. What it will do, it will go for the database and it will get the data based on your request. Let us take, you are sending your account number. Based on that account number, it will go to the database and it will check whether that account is available or not. So this is a database call. This is a HTTP call. First one is HTTP call and second one is your database call, right? So if suppose directly they want to interact, they don't know like a database language. Suppose this is a website, this account department has been implemented by the Java technology. Okay, but you are coming from the website. Now again this Java needs to interact with the database. How these interactions will happen? If we have a ESB, then ESB will convert the data. Let us take, I'm getting a data from the HTTP, then I want to interact with the database. Then again what this ESB will convert this HTTP request or response to the database. or if you are getting a response from the database, it will take the data, it will take that response and it will convert into the JSON and it will send it back to the REST service. So this is the conversion, the transformation, the message transformation or transactions will happen in a middleware. Clear? Let us take in
Yeah.
database again. There are different type of databases like Oracle database. Now it is a Salesforce, and there is SQL, MySQL. There are different type of database. Again, you need each and every one you need a different driver, right? So these all these things will be taken care by this MuleSoft. I mean middleware, not a MuleSoft. It's a middleware. Any more doubts? Even you can interact using a Java also. You can write a coding in a Java, even you can write a coding in a .NET, but writing a coding in a language is comparatively, I mean, this implementing these flows are very easy compared to your coding. And if suppose debugging is also very easy. If suppose you want to do debugging, so in a Java, what you need to do, you need to put a debugging points here. We don't know like which module you are getting, and there are, if you take a simple project in any real-time project, it should be around thousands of lines. So debugging is a very difficult. Even if you miss the full stop or comma, then it goes hell of things. But in a MuleSoft, it's not like that. You are able to see visually, you are able to see like what it is going. Let us take, if I put a breakpoint here, so when I click on this, okay, if I give the request, localhost, sorry, what will happen? See, now we're able to see this in a backend. So this is a debugging. This is a point where it is reaching. If I put a breakpoint here under set payload, again it will stop here itself. So that simply I can check whether what is happening here. What is the request I am getting? What is the response which I will get? Okay, this is a response and this is a request. So from where we get the request, all the data will be available here. So easily I can monitor it. Okay, even I can see. I mean, when we are going through this tutorial, you will get to know like what more options do you have. In real time also, you can edit your code. This is expressions. Okay, you can transfer. This is a message you are getting. If you want alter the message, you can alter the message, or you can transform into a different languages. So let us take it. This is a text file. If suppose I want to convert into a JSON file, or JSON to HTML, or HTML to XML, or XML to JSON, easily I can do everything under this MuleSoft. So there is a component called transformer. So using this transformer, I can convert a one form into another form. So let us take, I'm getting some JSON response. I want to convert into a XML. Here easily I can convert from XML to JSON. So, okay, this is a mapper. Okay, so likewise, when we are going through the tutorial, we will get to know like what are the different type of advanced components which we have and how easily we can implement a coding. Okay, any more doubts? So coming to the course content, so these are prerequisites. You don't, as I said, like you need a minimum coding. If you have a minimum coding language, then it will add on. Otherwise, even you can learn very easily. So these are the different type of tools which are required as a developer. So hopefully everyone knows all these technologies except this AnyPoints Studio is the one which relate to the MuleSoft that we have seen as of now. And other technologies are like Java, Maven. These are the common things. Okay, so like suppose I want to work with servers, then I can use a PuTTY. Even I can use if suppose I want to interact with a database, I can use a Postgres client, Git client. These are the deployment tools. Okay, and the Postman is a testing tool, and this is common. Okay, so these are the different type of tools which are required, and these are the basic fundamentals which are required like if you know the database is required, and DevOps tools like Jenkins, GitHub, okay, and some data management tools, okay. And this is a content which we are going to learn here. So first I will let you know like what is the APIs, okay, API-led connectivity, and design of how we can design APIs, how we can do the building. So once we build, then we need to do the deployment. What are the different type of deployment strategies? Okay, as he said, like he's working on DevOps, right? So where we will use these DevOps tools. So once you implement the coding, how you can need to deploy into different type of environments. There are like a cloud and hybrid and on-premises, okay, different type of deployments are there. And then there is some batch processing, how you need to interact with the different resources, okay. These are the different type of topics which are available, okay. So very useful for the real time. So, and coming to this point, it's a very simple thing. So even you asked, right, why we required this MuleSoft. I will give a simple one more example here. Let us take earlier. So if you want to interact, if you need to use the internet, what you need to do, you should have some desktop, and in the desktop you might have an Internet Explorer or Chrome. So from the Chrome you need to see like YouTube, or you need to see some other projects, or you can implement many things. So that is a once upon a time. So basically what will happen, suppose I want to see some information from my laptop or Windows. Let us take this is a project, okay. So let us take your Flipkart. So you want to purchase some order. So what you will do, you will go to your website and you will give the order. So when you give the order, so once your order is placed, if suppose you want to check the status, then you will click on status button. So automatically what it will do, that will go for the one, there is a one programming tool. So that program will take your request and will go on to the database or some Salesforce. It will get the data and will send it back to the your Chrome. The same is, suppose you want to see the order history in future, then again you need to click the order history, then it will go for the order history app, and then it will go for the Salesforce or SAP, wherever the data is available, and it will get and will send it back to the your computer. But now what will happen, so we have Android mobiles. So for the same purpose, I need to get that data in, purpose is same, but I want to get the data from the Android mobile. Then what you need to do, again you need to implement another project, because whatever the project which you implemented here, that is only interact with your OS, that is a Windows OS, okay. It is compatible for only Windows but not for Android. So what you need to, again you need to implement another project for the same purpose. So redundance, okay. Again there is a one more technology, one more device called Apple iOS. Again you need to implement another project. This is a redundance and duplicate work we are doing, right? So in order to avoid this, what we will do, we have an API-led connectivity approach, okay. So we'll create a layers like a system layer, process layer, and experience layer. So here see the purpose of this API, what we are doing, we are implementing a microservices. You can consider it as a microservice. This or getting order itself a one project, getting customer data is a one project, getting a shipment data is a one project. So I have split a different projects as a micro process, micro level. So now what will happen, this process APIs will interact with the system APIs. Let us take, I want to get a order history. So this order history will receive a request, and this API will goes and get the data from the database using this API, okay. So earlier what will happen, directly this computer is interacting with this database, this Salesforce or databases. But now what we are doing here, in between these two we created a 3 layers. Now let us take, there is a one more device here like iOS. What will happen, I will create one iOS device and I will create here one API. That's it. I don't want to make change anything under these 2 layers like a process API and system API. So I will tell you later, but this is a redundance. So utilization, sir, 5 years back, right? So demonetization, what will happen, almost 3 months all ATMs are dead. Why? Because of this approach, this traditional approach, like the ATMs are fabricated or manufactured only for a few kind of notes, like 1,000 notes, 500 rupees notes, but not compatible to the 2000. That is the reason they shut down all the ATMs. Now they implemented a projects like this. They created they segregated a modules. If you introduce a new note like a 3,000 rupees notes, then you don't want to stop the entire ATM. So you need to implement a small a small piece of code, and you can put, and you can generate a box. You can create a box which is compatible for 3,000 rupees notes, and you can implement. You don't want to stop other systems like a 2,000 notes. You don't want to stop the processing of 5,100 rupees, because they segregated as a layers. Okay, so that is one real-time example which we have seen earlier. So these are the different type of options which are available in a technology like a middlewares. Very easily you can couple and decouple. Let us take, I don't want this system here. Let us take, this is related to a 2,000 rupees notes programming. I can easily unplug this without stopping my process. I just simply disconnect this process here. I don't want to stop the entire thing. Okay, so let us take, you want to add one more programming which related to 3,000. Here I can add that a piece of code. I don't want to disturb this entire code. I will just add that API here, and I will make a connection. Making connection very easy, or unplugging is also very easy. But instead of changing the entire code, you can plug and unplug. That is one more advantage of a MuleSoft. Not only MuleSoft, it's a middleware. The same way, different type of advantages are there. So if you know the real-time problems, then you will get to know the beauty of this MuleSoft. Okay, even security also, there are a good security, safe and security in a MuleSoft. Like you can implement the SSLs, you can implement the certificates, you can create the protocols. Okay, and you can create the bridges. All these things you can do in a MuleSoft very easily. So any more doubts? Raghu or Raju? Who is this Arun?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't have any doubts, then we can quickly wind up here. So finally, this is the life cycle of your MuleSoft. Okay, development life cycle. If you are a developer, then we need to follow all these. Yeah, this is a cycle. Okay, so it's just like a develop. I mean, if you know the software development life cycle, it is also look like the same. So this is the one. So first, what we will do, we'll do the design here. And if you see the circle, inside circle, the blue one is a design. First we'll do the design. So once the design is completed, then we'll go for the simulation. So once simulation is done, then we'll get the feedback from the client. So and then we'll go for the build. So here in the build, so in the build where we are writing we are creating a flows. I can say it is a coding. That is a coding part. Once coding is done, then we'll go for the testing, second circle. So testing is completed, then again we'll go for the securities and deployments and analysis and troubleshoots. Everything will happen. Okay, for each and every step, there is some different type of tools which is provided by the MuleSoft. Okay, even design also, you don't want to write any coding. There is a one tool where you can easily write a design. Design is nothing but, so you will get some specifications or some requirements to the client. So you don't want to write the entire code. Without writing a code, you can implement the requirement. Whatever the requirement the customers want, you can implement in a this design time, and then you can show it to the client, so that whatever the feedback, based on the feedback, whether you want to go for the coding or not, that you can decide. So it's not a, it will, you cannot waste, I mean, utilize your time and the trust in between a customer and a client. Okay, so once your design is finalized, then we'll go for the building. So for the building, we are going to use the Anypoint Studio. So today I discussed only about the Anypoint Studio. So in the next class, I will discuss about these design parts. Okay, and then once it is done, then we'll go for the deployment. So this is a mule runtime where we will do the cloud deployment and all, cloud deployment or hybrid deployment or even on-premises deployment. Okay, so these are the different type of tools which are available in a MuleSoft. Okay, so that's it from my end. Any doubts? Go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you, Kishore.
okay.
Yeah, Kishore.
Yeah, we will wind up here. Thank you.
Yeah, Kishore, Raghunath here.
Yeah, Raghu.
Yeah, and could you tell me how that in the real time we'll be work on this? The main, the theme of the real time will be work on only in the design center, or we'll work in this API Studio?
So gathering a requirement is the initial part. Nothing but you need to do the design. Okay, so that design will be done by your architect or your senior developers. Sometimes if it is a very small one, then a developer can design it. Once his design is completed, design is just like a 5% of your development project. And once design is completed, then everything will be under the Anypoint Studio. That is a studio where you need to create the flows, where you can implement the logic, where you can implement the business functionality. That is Anypoint Studio. So 80% of work you will do as a developer, you can work on this Anypoint Studio. After
Okay.
that, another 10% will be related to your deployment part. So in some projects or some like what other companies, so people will go for the DevOps team. Okay, if you're working in agile technologies, then there is some DevOps guy where he can do that. He can take care about the deployment part, but he will take care only for production or UAT, not for your development. Okay, for the development environment, we are the people. As a developer, you need to deploy your application, so you should have a minimum knowledge on the DevOps tools, like how to do the deployment. It's a very simple. If you go through the Jenkins or you deploy anywhere, any technology, any tools which are related to DevOps, it's a very easy to deploy. Just there is some button where you can import the file and then you can run it. That's it. Okay, you can put into a pipeline. So that is about the 10% of your work, and another 10% is your debugging. So in real time, you want to debug your application, whether it is working or not, or you are getting some exception, why you are getting that error or exception. So you need to check the logs, log files, right? So you need to go to the Unix server. So almost all the deployment will be happen on Unix servers, Unix or Linux server. So you need to go through the Unix server and minimum commanding language where you can get the logs and you can analyze it. Or sometimes you want to stop your application, then how to stop your application, you need to kill the application. So these are the basic things. And sometimes there might be a team which is related to a database, but still you should know like a basic SQL language, at least a select queries and the update queries. Okay, because you are the one who working with the client, so you need to understand like from where you are getting a data, how you will get the data. Okay, so as a middleware, you have a more responsibilities, but you will get to know like end-to-end system. The middleware, the only middleware guy will know like what will happen in a software, in software company, like end-to-end. So where it started and where it will end, he the only person will know like what is happening in the system. So if suppose take example of front end guy, what he will know only about the front end screen, how to create a screen, why I'm not getting, that's it. You don't know about the back end. Okay, if you take the backend team like a SQL or Unix team, what they will know, like whether they will check where how how the server performance, what is the security, and how many requests are coming to that server or API, whether API is working or not, that thing they will know. But in between, no one knows other except the middleware. That is the reason there is a huge market for the middleware guys in IT, because he is the one who can know end-to-end software system.
Okay.
Okay, so any more doubts? So right now, if you see the SAP, SAP, or Salesforce, or Pega, these all are what they are doing. They are also doing the same thing, but they are in the multiple sectors. Like they have their own front end, they have their own back end, they have their own middleware. Okay, so those are the people they are concentrating all, but the whole concept is a middleware. Okay, SAP is also famous for the middleware, and Pega is also famous for middleware, and Salesforce is also famous for the middleware. But the add-on, they are using the front end and back end as well. Okay, so any doubts? Even we are the people who knows about the network, like what is a protocol, what is a HTTP, and what is a HTTPS, what is FTP, what is a file, what is happening, what is JMS. All these concepts we will get in a very easily, understood very easily. I'm not saying that you will be mastering those things, but you should know like what is the purpose of those protocols. We don't want to master in it, but we should know like what is happening. Okay, so shall we wind up? Okay, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.